Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Anubha Rohatgi, and with me is Aditi Lumba with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says National Education Policy 2020 caters to 21st century aspirations and takes India to the future. Interacts with students, teachers and parents in the 5th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha program. Prime Minister reiterates his call for early cessation of violence in Ukraine-Russia conflict. Conveys to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov India's readiness to contribute in any way to the peace efforts. President Ramnath Kovind reaches Ashgabat in the first leg of his two-nation tour to Turkmenistan and the Netherlands. Nepal Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba arrives in New Delhi on a 3-day visit to India. Uttar Pradesh government to recruit 10,000 police personnel within next 100 days. Gross GST collection touches all-time high of over 1,42,000 crore rupees in March this year. And in IPL cricket, match between Kolkata Knight Riders and Punjab Kings underway at Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said the National Education Policy 2020 caters to 21st century aspirations and take India to the future. Interacting with students, teachers and parents in the Pariksha Pe Charcha program in Delhi, Mr. Modi said the consultative process for the National Education Policy has been exhaustive and people across India were consulted for this.
नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी का हिंदुस्तान के हर तबके में पुरजोश स्वागत हुआ है और इसलिए इस काम को करने वाले सब अभिनंदन के अधिकारी लाखों लोग हैं जिन्होंने इसको बनाया है। देश के नागरिकों ने बनाया है, देश के विद्यार्थियों ने बनाया है, देश के टीचर्स ने बनाया है और देश के भविष्य के लिए बनाया है।
Mr. Modi said outdated ideas and policies from the 20th century cannot guide India's development trajectory in the 21st century. He said the country has to change with the times.
क्या हम 20वीं सदी की नीतियों को लेकर के 21वीं सदी का निर्माण कर सकते हैं क्या? मैं आप लोगों से पूछता हूं। 20वीं सदी की सोच, 20वीं सदी की व्यवस्था, 20वीं सदी की नीति, इससे 21वीं सदी में आगे बढ़ सकते हैं क्या? नहीं बढ़ सकते ना। तो हमें 21वीं सदी के अनुकूल अपनी सारी व्यवस्थाओं को, सारी नीतियों को ढालना चाहिए कि नहीं ढालना चाहिए। अगर हम अपने आप को इवॉल्व नहीं करेंगे तो हम ठहर जाएंगे और ठहर जाएंगे ऐसा नहीं, हम पिछड़ जाएंगे।
The Prime Minister added that technology is not a bane and it should be welcomed and used effectively, saying that pre-exam stress is one of the most common feelings amongst students. Mr. Modi advised students to remember that they are exam-proof as they have successfully overcome such exams before. He said the unfulfilled dreams of parents and teachers cannot be forced upon children. Talking about the importance of sports, the Prime Minister said sports teaches us team spirit and help us understand the strength and weaknesses of opponents.
पहले हमारे यहाँ खेलकूद एक एक्स्ट्रा एक्टिविटी माना जाता है। आपको जो 5वीं, 6वीं, 7वीं में पढ़े होंगे उनको पता होगा। अब इस नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में वो शिक्षा का हिस्सा बना दिया गया है। यानी खेलकूद खेलना खिलने के लिए बहुत अनिवार्य होता है। बिना खेले कोई खिल नहीं सकता। अगर आप खिलना चाहते हैं, खुलना चाहते हैं तो खेल जीवन में बहुत जरूरी है।
Our correspondent spoke to some students and teachers who participated in the Pariksha Pe Charcha program.
Hi everyone, I'm Ananya Manchanda. I'm from Lotus Valley International School, Noida. And today I attended Pariksha Pe Charcha 2022 with the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. I must say he is definitely a man of wisdom. We got to learn a lot from him. One of the most important things that I got was the clarity of mind when I attended today's session. He explained the importance of offline classes, the importance of applying the learning that you learn something in an online class in theory. So you have to apply that in practical life in offline mode. So that was very inspiring. I got my thoughts clear and it was really motivating.
मेरा नाम तनिष्क कुमार सिंह है। मैं सेवरॉक फेरी मॉडल स्कूल कैंटोनमेंट बोर्ड से हूँ और मेरे को आज सर की मोटिवेशनल चीज़ अच्छी लगी और जब उन्होंने वो 2 सिक्के वाली एग्जाम्पल दिया तो बहुत अच्छा लगा कि हमें एग्जाम के टाइम पे और अपने पेपर देने टाइम पे जो कंसंट्रेशन बनाना चाहिए वो बिल्कुल साफ पानी की तरह रहना चाहिए, ना कि वो हिलते हिलते पानी की तरह।
My name is Rahul Kumar. I am a student of Government Inter College, Sector 12, गौतम बुद्ध नगर। आज प्रधानमंत्री के इस भाषण से हमें ये शिक्षा मिलती है कि कभी भी हमें घबराना नहीं चाहिए, अपने आप पे भरोसा रखना चाहिए और ना हमें केवल परीक्षा के उद्देश्य से बल्कि जीवन में सफलता के उद्देश्य से पढ़ाई करनी चाहिए।
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम निर्जा है। मैं नई दिल्ली के गवर्नमेंट बॉयज नंबर 4 सीनियर सेकेंडरी स्कूल सरोजनी नगर में पीजीटी इंग्लिश के पद पर कार्यरत। आज मैंने परीक्षा में चर्चा 2022 में पार्टिसिपेट किया और वहां जाकर मैंने काफी एक्सपीरियंसेस भी लिए। प्रधानमंत्री जी के अनुभवों को जानकर परीक्षा में चर्चा के द्वारा काफी हमें ज्ञान अर्जन हुआ। ये जो प्रोग्राम है ये अध्यापकों के लिए और बच्चों के लिए और पेरेंट्स के लिए काफी हेल्पफुल है।
My name is Indrani Nyogi. I am from Army Public School, Sector 37, Noida. This was indeed a motivating session with Shri Narendra Modi ji, and I realized as a teacher that every child has an inherent capacity to do well in life. So as teacher, I need to look at that inherent excellence in every child and develop that.
Shubham Das, a teacher at Mayur School, Noida. Honorable Prime Minister cleared many of the doubts which were already running in students' mind. They are about to face their board exams, so he tried to make them a little bit patient so that they can give up their best and secure best marks.
मेरा नाम पुरुषोत्तम है। मैं रामेश इंटरनेशनल स्कूल ग्रेटर नोएडा से हूँ। मेरा एक्सपीरियंस बहुत अच्छा रहा। यहाँ बड़ी पॉजिटिविटी मिली। सारे बच्चे बड़े इंस्पायर्ड थे मोदी जी को सुनकर।
In Leh, over 500 students from various schools today participated in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's live program Pariksha Pe Charcha. Our Leh correspondent has filed this report.
The district administration has made arrangement for the live program of PPC 2022 at Sindhu Sanskriti Kendra at Leh. After almost 2 years of closure, schools in Ladakh are now open for offline classes. Students appearing board examination in few weeks' time had got motivated from the PM Modi tips on education, preparation and taking the challenges of examination. One of the participants from Kendra Vidyalaya School Leh has said,
मैं 12वीं क्लास में हूँ, कॉमर्स में केंद्रीय विद्यालय ले रहा था। हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने कहा कि हमें परीक्षा को जीवन का एक हिस्सा मानना चाहिए और इसको एंजॉयमेंट की तरह लेकर हमें पढ़ना चाहिए, न कि स्ट्रेस लेकर पढ़ना चाहिए। सो आज मेरे लिए वो बहुत बड़ा सीख था। इससे बहुत मोटिवेट हुए हैं हम लोग और हमें बहुत खुशनसीबी भी हुई है कि आज हमें यहाँ पर इस परीक्षा पे चर्चा को देखने का मौका मिला।
This edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha is cause for celebration as Padma Angmo of Leh was among the anchors who conducted the live program from Talkatora Stadium in Delhi. With Ramesh Chandra, Yangchen Dolma for Air News from Leh Ladakh.
The Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, has called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. Mr. Lavrov briefed the Prime Minister on the situation in Ukraine, including the ongoing peace negotiations today. Prime Minister reiterated his call for an early cessation of violence and conveyed India's readiness to contribute in any way to the peace efforts. The Russian Foreign Minister also updated Mr. Modi on the progress of decisions taken during the India-Russia bilateral summit held in December last year. Earlier today, the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, held talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in New Delhi. Mr. Lavrov arrived last evening on a 2-day visit to India. Both the ministers assessed the overall state of cooperation and considered the implications of recent developments on trade and economic relations. During the meeting, Dr. Jaishankar emphasized that as a developing economy, global volatility in different domains is of particular concern to India. He said it is important for both the countries that their economic, technological and people-to-people contacts remain stable and predictable. The two ministers also discussed developments pertaining to Ukraine. Mr. Lavrov briefed the Indian side from Russia's perspective, including the ongoing talks. In his opening remarks before the meeting, Dr. Jaishankar emphasized the importance of cessation of violence and ending hostilities.
Excellency, our meeting today takes place in a difficult international environment, quite apart from the pandemic. India, as you are aware, has always been in favor of resolving differences and disputes through dialogue and diplomacy. In our meeting today, we will have an opportunity to discuss contemporary issues and concerns in some detail. I look forward to our discussions.
They also discussed the situation in Afghanistan. In his opening remarks, Mr. Lavrov conveyed his assessment of the recent conference on Afghanistan in China.
We continue to implement projects in the areas of energy, science and technology, outer space, pharmaceutical industry, and of course we cooperated and continue to cooperate in the efforts to fight coronavirus infection. Indeed, as you mentioned, this day our Western colleagues would like to reduce any meaningful international issue to the crisis in Ukraine. You know our position. We do not hide anything, and we appreciate that India is taking this situation entirety of facts, not just in a one-sided way. So thank you very much for your hospitality once again.
President Ramnath Kovind reached Turkmenistan's capital Ashgabat this evening as part of his two-nation tour to the country and Netherlands. The president was received at the airport by the Turkmenistan President, Sardar Berdimuhamedov. He was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the airport and presented with the Guard of Honor. This is the first ever visit of an Indian president to Turkmenistan. This visit is significant as it is taking place as India marks 30 years of diplomatic relations with Turkmenistan. The visit is also taking place within 2 weeks of the new president of Turkmenistan, Sardar Berdimuhamedov, assuming charge. President Kovind will hold meetings with his counterpart, which will be followed by bilateral delegation-level talks between the two countries and signing of several MOUs. In the second leg, the president will be on a 4-day visit to Netherlands from Monday.
Nepal Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba arrived in New Delhi today on a 3-day visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He is accompanied by his wife, Dr. Arzu Deuba, and a high-level delegation. Mr. Deuba will call on Vice President Venkaiah Naidu and hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi tomorrow. Besides official engagements in New Delhi, Mr. Deuba will also visit Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. India and Nepal enjoy age-old and special ties of friendship and cooperation. In recent years, the partnership has witnessed significant growth in all areas of cooperation. Nepal Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba today met BJP National President JP Nadda at BJP headquarters in New Delhi. Mr. Deuba also met External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar expressed confidence that the visit will further strengthen the close neighborly relations between the two countries.
Train services between Jayanagar in Bihar and Kurta in Nepal, a stretch of 34.5 kilometers, will start from tomorrow. East Central Railway Chief Public Relation Officer CPRO Birendra Kumar told AIR that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Nepal counterpart Sher Bahadur Deuba will jointly inaugurate passenger train services through video conferencing tomorrow.
कल भारत और नेपाल के बीच में डेमू ट्रेन का शुभारंभ हो रहा है। इस ट्रेन का शुभारंभ माननीय प्रधानमंत्री भारत और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नेपाल दोनों एक साथ हैदराबाद और नई दिल्ली से वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग के द्वारा करेंगे। इससे दोनों देशों के बीच में लोगों का आना जाना और नेपाल रेल का भारतीय नेटवर्क के साथ जुड़ना एक ऐतिहासिक कदम होगा।
Indian citizens wishing to travel by this train to Kurta in Nepal will have to carry a photo identity card issued by the central or state governments, voter identity card issued by the Election Commission of India, or identity cards issued by the Indian Embassy in Nepal. Ministry of External Affairs, MEA, had sanctioned 784 crore rupees for this ambitious project. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
क्या आप कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम की तैयारी कर रहे हैं? ऑल इंडिया रेडियो के नए प्रोग्राम अभ्यास में हमारे विशेषज्ञ आपके सवालों का देंगे जवाब। शनिवार रात 9:30 बजे FM गोल्ड पर इस बार का विषय है इंडियन पॉलिटी एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। आप इससे जुड़े सवाल व्हाट्सएप करें 9289094044 पर या सवाल ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर। भारतीय संविधान और राजनीति विषय पर आपके प्रश्न हमें 5 अप्रैल तक मिल जाने चाहिए। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
FSSAI has launched Food Safety Connect app for food business operators and consumers. Download this app from Google Play Store and easily apply for FSSAI registration. Consumer can use this app to register food-related complaints.
The Uttar Pradesh government will recruit 10,000 police personnel within the next 100 days. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath today directed officials to make preparation for the recruitment. Calling for the use of technology in crime prevention, the Chief Minister suggested the use of social media to tell the success stories against crime control. Our Lucknow correspondent reports that during a review meeting with senior police officials of the state, the Chief Minister directed them to take fast and effective action against mafia and criminal elements. During the meeting, the Chief Minister insisted on better coordination between intelligence, STF and SOG. He also instructed to complete the necessary work related to the formation of 3 women PAC battalions. Odisha is celebrating its foundation day Utkal Divas today. On this day in 1936, Odisha was made into a separate state. President Ram Nath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have greeted people of Odisha on the occasion of Utkal Divas. In a tweet, the President said the land of the temples of Jagannath, Lingaraj, Konark and other rich heritage, Odisha gave the world the message of peace and love, shunning violence. He conveyed best wishes for the progress of the state. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said Odisha is renowned for its iconic temples, vibrant culture and picturesque places. He said the industrious people of Odisha have contributed immensely to the growth of the nation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said Odia people are making landmark contributions to India's progress and Odia culture is globally admired. He prayed for Odisha's development in the times to come. Odisha Governor Professor Ganesh Shilal, Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik, Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan and several other dignitaries also wished the people of Odisha on the occasion.
Union Ministers for Sports Affairs Anurag Thakur participated in Khelo India University Games logo and mascot launch event in Bengaluru today. Welcoming Bangaloreans to the second edition of University Games, the minister called upon universities to contribute for sports and earn Olympic medals for the country.
There will be more than 4,500 participants ready to showcase their sporting prowess in 20 sporting disciplines, and we have seen a significant growth in the percentage of participation. This truly goes to show the level of interest the University Games have created among the youth and the students. It has been the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji to make sports an integral part of the lives of India's large youth population. I am sure in the years to come, our universities are also going to contribute in a large way as far as the Olympic medal tally is concerned in the future years to come.
Mr. Thakur also urged upon people to remember the unsung sportspersons of India who brought laurels to the country, especially before our independence. The total coal production during 2021-22 has touched over 777 million tons compared to 716 million tons during 2020-21. Coal Ministry said Coal India Limited production has gone up by 4.43% from 596 million tons in 2020-21 to 622 million tons during 2021-22. The ministry said the total coal dispatch during 2021-22 touched the figure of over 818 million tons against the 619 million tons in the previous year.
The gross goods and services tax GST collection has touched an all-time high of over 1,42,000 crore rupees in March this year. The Finance Ministry said the gross GST collection in March this year is an all-time high, breaching the earlier record of 1,40,986 crore rupees collected in January this year. Revenues for the month of March 2022 are 15% higher than the GST revenues in the same month last year. During the month, revenue from imports of goods was 25% higher and the revenue from domestic transaction was 11% higher than the revenue from these sources during the same month last year. A heat wave is sweeping north, central and western parts of the country. Temperatures have soared above 40 degrees Celsius in Delhi NCR, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Rajasthan. The Indian Meteorological Department IMD has said that heat wave conditions are likely to prevail in some districts in northwest, central and west India for the next 4 days. IMD has advised people to avoid sun exposure and also issued an alert for the Labour Ministry, the Power Ministry and fire departments. Talking to AIR News, Indian Meteorological Department DG Mrityunjay Mahapatra said,
Past 3 to 4 डेज में नॉर्थ वेस्ट इंडिया और वेस्ट सेंट्रल इंडिया में हीट वेव कंडीशंस जारी है। दिन का तापमात्रा लगभग 4 से 7 डिग्री सेल्सियस नॉर्मल कंडीशन से ज्यादा है। आज जो स्थिति है इससे पता चलता है कि नॉर्थ वेस्ट इंडिया में जैसे पंजाब, हरियाणा, वेस्ट यूपी, जम्मू, हिमाचल प्रदेश, उत्तराखंड, इस सभी एरिया में तापमान में गिरावट आएगी और जो हीट वेव कंडीशन है इसमें सुधार होगा। मगर जो सेंट्रल इंडिया है जैसे राजस्थान, गुजरात, नॉर्दर्न पार्ट्स ऑफ महाराष्ट्र, मध्य प्रदेश, छत्तीसगढ़, इंटीरियर ओडिशा, नॉर्दर्न पार्ट्स ऑफ तेलंगाना, ये सभी एरिया में हीट वेव कंडीशन अगले 3 दिन तक जारी रहेगी और धीरे धीरे ईस्टर्न पार्ट से हीट वेव कंडीशन चला जाएगा।
This is All India Radio giving you the news.
Here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today, first from the Lok Sabha. The writer is senior journalist S. Pukan. The Lok Sabha today passed the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2022 to amend the list of scheduled tribes in Uttar Pradesh. Replying to the debate, Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda said that the Narendra Modi government is committed to welfare of the tribals and has increased budgetary allocation over the years. In response to a demand from some members, including Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary of Congress and N.K. Premachandran of RSP, that the government should bring a comprehensive bill on tribal reservation instead of piecemeal legislations, the minister said that different states have different lists of tribes, and that is why the government brings different bills. The bill for Uttar Pradesh proposes to include Gond, Dhuria, Nayak, Ojha, Pathari and Rajgond communities living in the 4 newly created districts of UP, Sant Kabir Nagar, Kushinagar, Chandoli and Sant Ravindas Nagar in the list of scheduled tribes. The bill also seeks to exclude the Gond community living in these 4 districts from the list of scheduled castes. Participating in the debate, several members sought better and a more effective implementation of the reservation policies for such categories. Sagota Roy of Trinamool Congress brought about the issue of the Maoist militancy in tribal areas and stressed that it must be contained through development. Initiating the debate, Deepak Baij of Congress, who represents the tribal region of Bastar, urged the minister to expedite a similar proposal from Chhattisgarh that seeks to include certain communities of the state in the list of scheduled tribes. Jagdambika Pal of BJP said the government should initiate a census of the tribal population in the country and demanded more clarity in the issuing caste certificates. Pratima Montal of Trinamool Congress said that funds for the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes remained underutilized and raised the issues of crimes against the community. Sanjeev Kumar of YSR Congress said that the amendments reflected the aspirations of the marginalized communities. Earth Sciences Minister Jitendra Singh introduced the Indian Antarctic Bill in the House amid objections raised by opposition members that seeks to enforce Indian laws if any unlawful activity happens in the territory occupied by the Indian research stations. He said that the Antarctic Treaty make it mandatory for all 54 countries who are signatories to apply the respective laws in area occupied by the country. India has 2 active research stations in the Antarctica, Maitri and Bharti, where scientists are involved in research. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary of Congress said such a law is uncalled for since India does not have even its own polar research vessel and has to hire such vessels for expeditions. Arguing that it was a no-man's land, Sagota Roy of Trinamool Congress wondered if the government wanted to take its bureaucracy even in Antarctica. Law Minister Kiran Rijiju, in a written answer, informed the House that the government had appointed 27 women High Court judges of the 39 recommendations made by the Supreme Court Collegium in the past 1 year. The remaining 12 cases are under various stages of the process, the minister said. Mr. Rijiju said that under the present system of judicial appointments, the onus to provide social diversity and representation to all the sections of society, including SCs, STs, women and minorities, primarily falls on the judiciary.
And now, a review of proceedings in the Rajya Sabha. The writer is Kumar Rahul of PTI. The Rajya Sabha today discussed a private member's bill moved by Rakesh Sinha of BJP. The Population Regulation Bill 2019 seeks to regulate population by promoting 2-child per couple policy. Participating in the discussion, Jairam Ramesh of Congress said the states which have successfully implemented the family planning must not be made to lose out on central allocations. Mr. Ramesh said fund allocation from the centre to the states are all based on population. He said states such as Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra and Punjab, which have successfully controlled population, are losing out. He said that his apprehension is states which are implementing the family planning policy rightly in this manner it should be are being punished. Citing Mr. Siva of Tamil Nadu, citing the example of Tamil Nadu, he said the state government has successfully implemented the family planning policy and has been appreciated and applauded in every way. Jawahar Sarkar of Trinamool Congress said he hoped that it is not targeted to any community because recent studies from National Family Welfare Survey showed that the total fertility rate has evened out. We are reaching what is called the replacement fertility rate, which means we will go down in population, he said. Binoy Viswam of CPI said there is an element in the bill which is very dangerous. Earlier, 15 private member bills were introduced in the House. These include the Right to Free Electricity Bill 2022 by Sanjay Singh of Aam Aadmi Party that seeks consumption of free electricity, a right for all citizens throughout India. Dr. V. Sivadasan of CPIM introduced a bill to provide for right to land and shelter so as to ensure the realization of constitutionally guaranteed rights of dignity and opportunity to all citizens who are devoid of land and shelter. While John Brittas of CPIM also moved a bill to provide for the establishment of a permanent bench of the High Court of Kerala at Thiruvananthapuram. P. Wilson of DMK has moved a bill to amend Article 200 of the Indian Constitution and fix a time limit for the governors to act after a bill has been passed by the state legislature and sent for his assent. Sasmit Patra of BJD has introduced bills to amend the Indian Contract Act 1872 and the Representation of the People Act 1951. Sanjay Singh of Aam Aadmi Party introduced a bill to make free electricity a right for all citizens throughout India and also to amend the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. V. Vijayasai Reddy of YSRCP has moved a bill to amend the Constitution and reconstitute the National Judicial Appointment Commission after taking into consideration the Supreme Court judgment which was struck down in 2015. NJAC should decide on matters of appointment, transfer and posting of the judges of the Higher Judiciary. During 0 hour, Shanta Chetri of Trinamool Congress demanded minority status for Hindus in Meghalaya, citing the centre's assertion in the Supreme Court that states can consider granting Hindus minority status if they deem so. Chetri said the centre has told the Supreme Court that states can consider granting Hindus a minority status if the community is not in a majority within their jurisdiction. Sanjay Singh of AAP raised the issue of attack on Delhi CM and party leader Arvind Kejriwal. Mahesh Poddar of BJP also participated in the discussion. And that's all in Parliament Review.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
In the IPL cricket, Punjab Kings were 118 for 8 in 16.3 overs against Kolkata Knight Riders at Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai when reports last came in. Earlier, KKR captain Shreyas Iyer won the toss and opted to field. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have clear sky. The temperature will vary between 20 and 38 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 33 degrees Celsius. Chennai is likely to have partly cloudy sky. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky. Visakhapatnam will have partly cloudy sky. Hyderabad, Thiruvananthapuram and Bengaluru will also have partly cloudy sky.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. T20 caters to 21st century aspirations and takes India to the future. Interacts with students, teachers and parents in the 5th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha program. Prime Minister reiterates his call for early cessation of violence in Ukraine-Russia conflict. Conveys to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov India's readiness to contribute in any way to the peace efforts. President Ramnath Kovind reaches Ashgabat in the first leg of his two-nation tour to Turkmenistan and the Netherlands. Nepal Prime Minister Sheikh Bahadur Deuba arrives in New Delhi on a 3-day visit to India. Uttar Pradesh government to recruit 10,000 police personnel within next 100 days. Gross GST collection touches all-time high of over 1,42,000 crore rupees in March this year. And in IPL cricket, match between Kolkata Knight Riders and Punjab Kings underway in Mumbai. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.